to figure out if a finance leader, can be the right person to have a seat around the table. How do you dig beneath the surface of the resume? The resume, you could say, oh, they were in a fast growing business, they managed X, Y, and Z. But what should our founder CEOs be asking to dig beneath the surface?
It's a great question. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, like a lot of things, cultural fit, cannot be underestimated. And I can, easily see, many stories in the past where someone looked great on paper, had all the great credentials, but because they really, didn't have that chemistry and fit. And this applies to, every hire, right? And the executive team is not unique to the CFO. But I do think, to your point, a lot of CEOs and founders may not have experience in terms of how to evaluate it, but that gut check on whether or not this chemistry fit is the right fit, it is definitely something. The other thing I would say is, trying to understand, back to like, what does that CEO need in a partner, right? And every CEO is different. I mean, I know CEOs that are like, they could fundraise all day long. They love talking to investors. That's just their DNA, right? And then thinking strategy and, where the business is going. They don't want, that's like lower on their list. Other CEOs really benefit, I think, from having, and in general, you always want a strategic partner, but I think some people need more of an operationally focused partner that's really going to, dig into the nuts and bolts of the business and not afraid to roll their hands up, get their sleeve, roll their sleeves up and really dig in. I think others, kind of fly a little higher, right? And then they can hire great teams. So, both of those personas, can be great. It's just a function of what's the chemistry and the dynamic, and what does the team need, and what does the CEO need in a partner. And then I think, table stakes, things like credibility is everything, right? So, somebody that has got, impeccable integrity, ethical compass, like really has a very clean reputation. I mean, it's one of those things that, stating the obvious, right? The integrity, the financials, and somebody that has even like a blemish on their record, I think is certainly something to be avoided. And back to like, who comes up to the channels. I think you have this accounting track, like controller track, and then you have sort of more of an FP&A track. And increasingly you're having like investment banking tracks. And depending on what you need, either more operationally focused, sort of, CFO / COO type of role versus, you really want someone that's really focused on, storytelling, going out there to the investor base. Those, can be two different tracks. So I think a lot of it is sort of just stepping back as you're looking at what is it that would be most complementary to you as a CEO and to your team.
And when, founder CEOs are recruiting that head of finance, part of it is digging under the covers to understand if the experience is right. Part of it is selling that person to join a risky startup. And certainly the best way to sell somebody is, hey, we're growing 5x year over year, and we're going public in a couple of years. But, given your experience working with finance leaders, what are the things finance leaders are looking for to advance their career, to think about what matters in their next challenge, so that CEOs can think about, what they could offer to a finance leader? Because that again is going to be different than a head of sales, a head of engineering, a head of product they might have more experience with. What are the things that finance leaders, when they're looking for a new job, really want to advance their careers, that our CEOs should be thinking about and connecting to as they're trying to recruit somebody?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think there has been a huge amount of demand for what I would call sort of these serial, IPO CFOs, right? And I think that's where the universe list, I don't want to say it's short, but I mean, it's certainly, a lot of talent in that space, but hard to get them out of their existing seats. Now, maybe that's changing now with the current market, and, it'll be a little easier to extract people given, some of the market downturn. But, that being said, I think a lot of CFOs, when we're trying to recruit, they really want to believe in the business and the team around the table, right? They want to know that this is an opportunity that they could really make a difference. And so how is their skill set going to, fit with the needs of the company, and can they add value, right? I mean, we all want that, right? Can you contribute? Can you add value? As a team you're going to want to work with. And then I think, CFOs, to your point, I think coming in too early is super risky, because then there may not be sort of that path, and they're sort of underutilized in some ways, if you will. So I think, when you start to at least be able to demonstrate, there is a path in the next few years, to be able to take it all the way, to the public markets, that becomes more attractive. Now, CFOs are, they're taking a bet, right? I mean, I think a lot of us thought we were going to be going public, I mean, a couple of years ago, and I'm sure the CFOs are sitting there going, oh, who knows, right? I mean, we'll see when the markets open. They've been closed a while, but this too shall pass. They'll eventually open back up. But I think that it's why I see it's more difficult to bring in, that, more broader, even if the CEO wants it, the business needs it, like a real kind of, IPO CFO, call it 5 years out, right? I think that's just more challenging.